So the script tool is a simple tool that you can use for any cases where your built-in tools do not cover everything that your application needs. So you can easily write custom code to accomplish many different things. It's basically like a Swiss Army knife in your toolbox. To get started with the script tool, I encourage you to just check out a lot of the examples in the manual. So you can just open up the tool help here at the bottom. So we're including examples for all the common use cases, and this will be expanded over the next months. This is a simple example for how you can use a script tool. I've got two surface position tools here, surface position 1, surface position 2, and they're measuring two different height values. So just to show you how you could add a very simple script tool, I'm going to find it here in the toolbox and add it in here. And now the script tool is already taking in the surface position 2 height value. I'm going to change that to surface position 1 for now. So you can do that at the top here as input 0. You can also specify the number of inputs that you want to take and the number of outputs here at the bottom. So right now what the script tool is doing is taking in the surface position 1 z value, and it is just passing it through. So this script is first checking whether any of the inputs are invalid, and then getting the measurement value of the first input. So that's input 0 with this get measurement. And if the measurement is value, then it's just passing that through as an output. So you can see the code is quite simple and clean. This is because we're now using Python. So the script tool includes all of the standard Python 3.6 library functionality itself, but we are also making NumPy accessible. So all our array handling is based on NumPy arrays. We're also planning to add more Python modules in the future, such as OpenCV, and users can add their own Python modules on Windows. So if I want to get the second surface position tools measurement in here as well, and calculate the difference in between the height values, I can just increase this from 1 to 2, and then record the take in the second surface position value. So now I have them both in here, and I'm going to just read the second surface position value here with a new line. So in measure, let's call it in measure 1 and in measure 2. And I'm taking in the first and second inputs, and we'll check if they are both valid. Is valid, and I will calculate the difference between the two. So in measure 1 value minus in measure 2 dot value. There we go. So now it is calculating the difference between the two height values. It's calculating the difference here as 0.1. So with the new script tool, you can do a whole lot more than just take in measurement values. You can also take in values from tools that are outputting geometric features. So for example, I can operate on the point input and read all the XYZ positions off of that. Or I can also operate on surface data or profile data. If I, for example, make another closing bracket here as an example of an error, and I save the script, it will actually pop up an error message saying that there's a syntax error on line number 4. And it directs me straight to that issue, so I can correct it right away. Okay, so looking at a more complicated example, this is an example where the user wants to perform a height measurement on pins on a connector. The outputs from the script tool can be fed into the surface position tool as an anchor source. So now we have the anchor X and anchor Y positions from the script tool using batching fed into the surface position tool. The surface position tool uses each of the array values from the script tool to shift the measurement region of the surface position tool and perform the measurement at each location. And the output is an array of 25 values, so you can get height values at each position according to the anchor positions. Then showing a yet more advanced script tool. This is a script tool that is taking in a CSV file from a file on my PC, reading in all the position values and applying them into a measurement output. So a more advanced example of the script tool is conditional processing of surface data. I have an example here for this pin inspection part where I have a different number of failures. So here I've got 6 on the first frame, then 5 on the next, 8 on the third frame, and finally 9 on the last frame. In the script tool, I have a simple script that's just checking the count of the failures, and then if there is a failure greater than 7, so if there's more than 7 pins that have failed, then it will pass through the input surface to an output, which is then fed into a data export tool. This will result in only frames with more than 7 failed pins being saved in a file to disk. So we're taking in the transformed surface and the output from the second script that gives us the failed count, and we're just doing this simple thresholding based on the failed count, and then passing that out into an output surface. So my output 0 is uniform surface, and I also have another output for a measurement value. The data export tool is set up to export the incoming surfaces into this folder. So I have this folder open here, and you can see that as I step through the frames, I'm going to start at frame 1. No file should be saved because the total number of bad pins is still below 7. And then as I step through, frame 2 is also still okay. But then on frame 3, I have more than 7 failed pins. In this case, it's 8. And it created 2 files for me with the surface data and the intensity data. So this is just a simple example of how you can use a script tool to pass through surface data conditionally. A number of keyboard shortcuts are supported. For example, you can undo and redo using Control-Z and Control-Y. There's also support for logging directly from the script tool. So if, for example, you want to output the CSV file path that we're loading from, you can just type log_info, loading, and then the file name, and this results in a system log message at the bottom. This can be very useful for debugging your scripts. We believe that the script tool has a lot of potential. We encourage you to try the examples in the manual and refer to the manual for any further details.